where he talks about changing behavior. Um, he talks about how it's a process and how it takes time. It doesn't happen overnight, but with constant attention to that behavior, um, it can be changed. And what we're doing, there's a reason why this program that you're in is not 1 month long. There's a reason why it's not, 2 months long or even 3 months long, because to change behavior, it takes time. For many of you, I am fundamentally, and Adam has been working with you, and I as well, I've been working with you to either fundamentally teach you how to sell in this environment, or in a lot of cases, we're fundamentally asking you to change the way that you've sold in the past. There's 21 people on this list right now that are on this webinar. And there's probably 20 people who thought they knew what to do. They were making a living doing it a certain way, or they had a vision of how it should be done. And what they've learned is there's stuff I need to learn. There's things I need to get better at. There's things that I need to excel. There's things I need to stop doing. Some of us on this call, when we first started, didn't even know that there was a different way to do anything. We were just doing the best that we could based on the information that we had. And so we're asking you to change your behavior, and that takes time. You change behavior over time through repetition and through attention to the details. And this is not the only place that you should come to work on this craft that you're working on getting better at. And there's things you need to do on the outside of this. There's books you need to read. You need to be working on yourself. This gentleman talked a lot about working on yourself. It's very important that we work on ourselves, whether it be emotionally, whether it be spiritually, whether it be physically, so we can have the energy that it takes to do this work that we do every day, day after day after day. This can be a mentally draining thing that we're doing on the phone day after day. The way that you're going to handle that is so you're mentally, physically, and emotionally strong. And if you're working on those parts of your body, or that part of your being, then you're going to have the energy and the vitality and the ambition and the drive to make anything you want to out of this particular business that you're in right now. So I just encourage you to go out, look at videos like this, find books to read, find things that you're interested in, expand your mind, go for a walk, read the Bible, do whatever it is that you need to do to have the energy and have the depth of the well that's necessary to be in a sales environment every day. So great video to get things started. I always like to start out with some victories with people. So who can, it's been a couple of weeks since we got together. I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. What are some victories that we can start out with, we can share with the group? Who can start for us?
Well, I sold a $370,000 home that we closed on in the first week of November, and I did it while I was on crutches with the brace on my leg after surgery. So that was a victory for me to get out, be able to get out and do that.
Awesome. So good thing your arm wasn't broken. You wouldn't be able to sign anything, right?
Right. It was just the leg. I tore the hamstring off the bone, so it was a fun time. But it was a couple.
I've done that too, man. That's painful.
Yeah, and it was a couple that were moving here from to Columbus from Texas, and they came in. I've been talking to the husband we developed a relationship and started talking probably right after I got my license, which was a year ago, the first of this month, and a year ago yesterday. And we bonded, we liked each other, and it just worked out for me really well. And they were a great couple to work with. So I was fortunate.
Good, fantastic victory. There's you've had a whole mouthful of things that could have derailed that, as far as your own personal health and other things, and you persevered and got through that, got that done for that family. It's fantastic. I had a personal victory. I had a personal victory over holiday too. I baked for the first time an 8-pound prime rib roast, and it was delicious.
Well, good for you. I used to be a chef, so I know that's a daunting task. Mm-hmm.
It's an expensive cut of meat, man. The last thing you know, you get a turkey, you screw it up, and go get another turkey, it costs you $20. That dang roast cost me $110, man. You overcook that, and you're in trouble, right?
That's right. Right.
What other victories do we have there this week? I appreciate you sharing that.
You're welcome. Enjoyed it.
What else do we have? I know we've had 2 weeks. We've had 2 weeks to think about it. What kind of good stuff do we have out there?
Mark, our department set $2 million in listings this past week.
I'm sorry, what was that, Shelley?
Our department has set $2 million listings this past week.
Awesome. $2 million in listing. And for those of you who aren't in our market, I mean, our average home sale is like $150,000, right? So that's fantastic. You know, the interesting thing
Barb said $1 million one, and I said a $950,000 one.
Well, that's even better. It's interesting. You know, I heard her the first time say they set $2 million. I asked her to say it again just so I could hear it again. You know, there's a technique there. Whenever I'm on the phone and a prospect says something that is unique, whether it's a pain that they've just recognized or something very positive they just recognized, I'll often get them to repeat it again on purpose. So somebody may say, well, yeah, we're really concerned about the fact whether we're going to be able to get our home sold or not. I'll say, I'm sorry, what was that? Say, oh, yeah, we're really concerned whether we can get our home sold or not. I get them to repeat it on purpose because people don't argue with their own data, right? They said they were concerned, they had an issue, get them to repeat it again. It's solid in their mind. Guess what I'm going to use when I get to my closing statement? I'm going to use the same stuff that they just used, that they just said. So Shelley mentioned they had $2 million worth of closing. I just had to repeat it. Get them to repeat the positive stuff and the negative stuff, and they're going to do half the job for you when you try to close. Because today's session is all about closing. It's the main event. It's time to close, right? That's what we're all about today. So who else has a great victory? It could be a personal victory. It could be a business victory. Come on, I know I got some other good stuff out there. Share it with your team. Share it with your group. Sarah, you're always up for a good victory to share with us. Sarah, you got something for us today? What about Dennis? Dennis or let's see, Sarah oftentimes pipes in for us. How about somebody from the DFW Home Seeker team? Who we got on the line from there today? Go ahead, phone caller. Are you just going to breathe heavy, or are you gonna give us a victory?
The Texans don't have anything to say.
Deborah wrote that she said a $350,000 listing appointment, and then her chat box went away. I don't have the ability to speak on the mic. You need to talk to your rainmaker and give them to give you the ability, because if you can't talk, you're going to miss out on part of the program.
Yeah, Andy, get with the program.
Hey, Mark, this is Barb.
Thanks, Barb.
I was finding real success last week in on the expireds, just going through, saying that homes show better during the Christmas time frame, and that, they'd have more competition in the spring. And I set 2 or 3 last week just on that. And that was exciting for me because I had to break through my norm and add more stuff to it to get listings, to get people to list or actually set an appointment. And I was excited about using some of those things and incorporating that into what I say, and it worked well.
I'm going to ask you to repeat that, not because I didn't hear you, but I do want you to say that again as far as what that objection was that you got through, because I'm not sure everybody caught that. Sometimes people are only paying cursory attention to what's going on here. So if you could repeat that for me, I'd appreciate it.
No, I've been using a lot on my expireds. I've been, telling them that their homes show really nice during the Christmas holiday season, and that the competition in the spring, everybody's running to list their homes in the spring, and there's much more competition at that point.
Gotcha. Well, logical, way to deal with people's thought process and their objection. And we can't just give up the first time. And if we just give up the first time, we don't want to railroad somebody and get them to say yes just to get us off the phone. But at the same time, just because somebody, just like when we call somebody says they're just looking, we got to give it a couple of shots here. And the reality is, you're right with what you're saying. Keep in mind, people are lucky if they buy or sell 2 or 3 homes in their lifetime, right? You guys are setting appointments daily, every day. Your guys are experts with what you do. You know for a fact that houses do show really well, and there is less competition right now. And so, you have the opportunity to sell your home. But if we find out what the real motivation is, what the real pain is, it helps us do that. So, it definitely is a logical reaction to handle that objection that they threw out there to you. So, well, I'm gonna move on. Certainly, if anybody else has any positive things that they would like to share, we want to hear about those. We need to hear about those. Part of this program that you're in is sharing your experiences with the group. This program is built on an experiential training model. And that means that the group grows and gets better when they get to hear and understand the experiences of others. You might not think it's a big deal, but there's other people on the phone that are struggling with the thing that you just overcame. There's other people that are on the computer right now listening that haven't heard that type of objection that she just shared. That was a great addition to what we're talking about today. You have the ability to positively impact other people in this program, and this is built on us sharing with each other. And when we don't do that, the program itself is not as effective as it should be. So I want to encourage you guys, this is not a program just to listen to. I already know all this stuff. I don't need to just listen to myself, okay? We need to hear what you're experiencing in the field so we can change and modify the program as it exists. Because there may be a topic right now that's really prevalent with 3 or 4 of you that we need to be working on instead of what I planned on working on today. But unless I hear that, you're stuck with what I have planned. I don't mind trashing everything I had planned to work on today, and to work just specifically on some problems that you're having to make you a better and stronger ISA or agent. I've done it many times. I just saved this session for another day. So I'm really interested to hear from people, and as we go forward, let's make sure that we're sharing with each other. So I appreciate you guys listening to my little soapbox there. Let's talk about closing. How do you close, and with what? Right? How is it done? When is it done? And with what? We need to look at, is it time to close? And, everybody knows in order to get an appointment, you have to close. Or do you? What if you could get the prospect to actually close themselves? Right? The perfect world, people will close themselves. They will tell you what it is that they need to hear to make a decision. People know what they would like to do oftentimes. It's our job to pull it out of them. Adam, I saw you just typed in something, but I didn't see it. Your mic's open. You can just throw it out if you want.
I'm just talking to the DFW group.
Okay. What if you could get prospects to close themselves? You know that technique I said earlier about having people repeat positive stuff or negative stuff? That's one of the ways that you get people to close themselves, is that old adage of people want to buy, they just don't want to be sold. People know in their heart of hearts what it is they want to do and what they need to do. Sometimes they just need somebody to help them walk through that process. And oftentimes we can do that. So closing has everything to do with listening to people. There's 3 things that you have to have in order to close, right? Anybody know what they are? Well, they're right there. I had some animations along with this, but it didn't work. So what 3 things you need to get to know before you close? 1, you need to know what the true motivation is. 2, you need to understand the resources. In this case, when we're talking about on the phone, resources have to do with time to meet. Do they have the time to get together? Do they have 20 minutes? Do they have 30 minutes? Do they have, an hour? Do they have 10 minutes to fill out this pre-approval attempt? Do they have, 15, 20 minutes for you to get the information that you need to do a fair market analysis if you're going to do a listing appointment? Do they have the time? So do they have a problem, a need, a want, a desire, an issue, a concern that you need to overcome? Do they have the appropriate resources? And that's as simple as, do they have an hour that they can meet? And 3, do you have an understanding of the decision-making process? And in this case, the decision-making process for whether or not they should meet with you are simply, is there anybody else involved in this? Does anybody else need to be at that meeting? A spouse, a family member, a friend, an attorney, whatever. Those are really the only things that you need to know right now to get an appointment. And you really need to know all 3 of those, right? You need to know what the problem is. Do they have the time? And are you talking to the right people? I don't need to know a whole lot more than that to get an appointment. I need a whole lot more than that to get them to sign buyer's agency or to sign the listing agreement. But I don't need know more than that to get an appointment. Okay? When we're looking at our house, a couple of weeks ago, we talked about process. And for those of you who were on that call, we talked about, we used a lot of analogies from fighting. We showed some Ronda Rousey's videos where she's getting knocked out, right? And we talked about what her plan was and how she didn't have a backup plan, and she had a plan, but then she got whacked upside the head and the plan went a little awry. We need to have a plan, and we have a plan, right, as ISAs. In this program, we have a plan. We have some things that we do. The first thing we do is we create rapport. How, in our phone call, now this is a question for the group, and so I need an answer, right? How do we create rapport when we make that initial phone call? Someone feel free to give me an answer. How do we create rapport? You find common ground. That's what somebody wrote. Yes and no. The way that we create rapport is we have a very specific piece of transactional analysis that is built into our opening of our call outline, right? What are the exact words in our call outline that are designed to create rapport with our customer? It is when we say, we just wanted to call and say thank you for registering on our website. That is that you take that back to transactional analysis. That piece right there, making them feel okay with what is happening. They registered on a website. We called them. They immediately are defensive because we called them and said, we were so-and-so, DFWHomeSecret.com, WichitaKSRealEstate.com. And they're like, oh boy, I knew that was going to happen when I registered. And you stop them right dead in their tracks and say, hey, we just wanted to call and personally say thank you for taking the time to register on our website. That right there is where we're creating the bonding and rapport. You don't have time to get all relational on the phone with them. You don't have time to find a whole bunch of common ground with them on the phone. You got time to set appointments and move on to the next one. So you need to use the science that is behind this. There's science built into this, and if you skip over something little like that, you don't think it's a big deal. It's a huge deal, right? We try to be very intentional with our phone call. We try to be very intentional and get right to the point. Mark, this is, or Bill, this is Mark from DFWHomeseeker.com, from the Client Care Center. We get intentional. We go right to it, hit them right between the eyes, take it off guard. That's how we build the bonding rapport with people. Okay? If you're doing a bunch of other stuff, quite frankly, you don't need to do it, and it's not in our call out line. Right? We just wanted to find out if we could learn a little bit more about your situation. When we get into FSBO, we don't necessarily tell people, hey, I got 1,000 buyers out there, and if I bring you one, we don't hit them right between the eyes and say, when are you going to hire the right agent? Because everybody says that, and quite frankly, it makes people feel uncomfortable. Hey Jan, can you mute yourself, please?
Sorry, I thought I was.
Oh, thank you. We don't do things necessarily the same way everybody else does, and there's for a reason. Because I don't know about your market, but in our market, we're not the only people calling on a FSBO or on an expired. In our market, we're not, people who go to our website, we know they're not only going to our website. So we need to be different from the very beginning. And that's how we're creating that bonding rapport, is by being different, by saying thank you. It seems like a big deal, or not like a big deal, but it's a very big deal. So you need to have three things before you close. You need to have what their motivation is. You need to understand where they have the time and effort, energy available to meet, and you need to make sure you're talking to the right people. If you got those three things, you can get an appointment. Here's a problem, though. A lot of people try to close too early, and a lot of people wait too long, right? Sometimes people try to when we get ISAs on the line and we do a orientation, or we meet them for the first time, or maybe we'll talk to a rainmaker and they'll say, hey, talk to my ISA. Invariably, we get on the phone with them and they're trying to close 30 seconds after they get the person on the phone. And they just keep trying to close and just keep trying to close. And they don't listen and they keep trying to close. No. Just because somebody said it takes 7 no's to get a yes doesn't mean you have to get 7 no's. I'd rather just get one yes the first time and move on. Right? The problem with people that are getting those objections over and over and over and over again is because they're not finding the people's true emotional connection. What is a definition of true motivation? We've talked about this before. I'm repeating it again because the way we change behavior is by reinforcement over time. So in order for me to close, all the great closing paragraphs in the world don't make a hill of beans if you don't have any true motivation, if you don't have an understanding of what they really want to accomplish at a more than a singular level. So we need to know levels of motivation there's 3 levels of motivation. There's what is the motivation? Why is it a problem for them? Right? And are they personally connected to it? Is it real? Is there an emotion tied to it? Am I worried, concerned, frustrated, upset? Remember that terminology I used, probably a month, maybe 6 weeks ago? FUDWACA, frustrated, upset, depressed, worried, angry, anxious, right? FUDWACA. I'm looking for words that sound like that. And when I hear somebody say, well, yeah, we're really concerned about that, I stop and say, I'm sorry, you're what? I'm really concerned about that. And I just go, oh, okay. Can I ask you another question? And I just move right on. We don't simmer in it. We don't wait around in it. I don't try to close right away. No, I'm going to use that information later on when I optimize my close. So we obviously have a technique that we use. You guys have seen this technique before. Adam will notice it is now spelled correctly. It's the iceberg technique. Iceberg technique is nothing more than a set of questions that are designed to take people through the 3 levels of motivation. First level up here, why is it a problem? Somebody says they want to move to the other side of the state. No problem. Just curious. Why do you want to move to the other side of the state? Right? Well, I want to move to Kansas City. Okay, well, why do you think about moving to Kansas City? Well, I just got transferred. Okay, that makes sense. So is this a sudden thing that just happened to you, or you've been thinking about moving for a while and you just got the promotion? Have you been seeking another job there? No, I just got promoted and it just happened. Oh, so this is really new. It's really fresh in your mind. I see. Okay. Well, let me ask you this. Sounds like you probably need to sell a home before you leave. Yeah. What's going to happen if you don't get that home sold in a timely manner? Well, that's not an opportunity. We have to sell it. I mean, we absolutely have to, because we have to buy another one in Kansas City. And I have to move my family. Oh, okay. Sounds like that's a big concern for you. Absolutely, it's a concern. Great. I'm going to now use that to my advantage when I go to set the appointment for them, when I go to close this thing and get an appointment. Right? So this technique is nothing more. I just went down through it right there. I went to what is the problem, to why is that a problem, to how are they emotionally connected to it. I didn't ask all 7 or 8 of these questions. I just went through those dotted lines from to what, to why, to how come. What to why to how are you connected. What to why to what's the emotional attachment. See, the top one is I want to move to Kansas City, if you recall, is not a pain. It is a pain indicator. Always keep that in mind. It doesn't become a pain. It doesn't become true motivation until you find the emotional connection. And if you don't find an emotional connection, it's not a motivating factor. As much as you would like it to be, it's not. It's not enough for most people to take action on. So here's what I like to do. I want to do a role play. And so somebody's going to have to volunteer to do the role play with me. I am going to be the ISA, and you are going to be the prospect. So who would like to be the prospect? Don't everybody rush to volunteer all at once. I know, crickets.
I can, Mark.
Okay, Barbara, thank you. I'm just curious.
You're welcome.
Does anybody else's microphone actually work, or what's the deal? You guys asleep? Are you still on the tryptophan high from last Thursday, or what?
I'm sorry, what?
I can do it. I can do it.
I don't mind using a Barbara. I mean, I don't mind at all. I just want to make sure other people are alive out there. That's all.
I can do it.
All right. I tell you what. All right, Dennis. I'll tell you what. You stepped up. I appreciate that offer, Barbara. We'll let Dennis do it. Okay. Sarah said she did it last time. All right. So Dennis, here is the information that I want you to use for your role play. Okay. You can read that there on the screen. You recently got promoted, or pardon me, you got a new job 75 miles away. You live in Salina now, which is a community about 60, 70 miles from here. You're married, you got a couple of kids. You're on the website recently. You looked at 5 homes in the area, et cetera, et cetera. You can see the other pieces of it. And if you stray from this a little bit, it's okay. I just want to give you some structure. Now, here's how we're going to run this role play. What you are not going to do is you're not going to be the biggest jerk ever on the phone. You're not going to deny my every question. You're not going to pretend. Nobody's going to learn from you answering everything I have from one-word questions. I don't think that you'll do that, but I want to make sure you understand what we're doing here is that we're working together to go through this role play so other people will have a chance to hear some of the things that I want them to hear. Is that fair?
Sure.
Okay. So because there's no cheating in sales, right? I actually have a script that we use, right? We actually have an outline. Yeah, that's why I didn't pick you, Bailey, because you'd be a jerk. I know. So here's our internet buyer outline, right? So, or script, if you will. So it's right here in front of me. So we'll just go ahead and make the call. I'm going to call Dennis. He's going to be that person on the other end of the line, and I'm going to be the ISA. Is that fair? You good, Dennis?
Yep.
All right, let's go. Ring, ring, ring.
Hello.
Dennis.
Yes.
Hi, this is Mark Benefiel with WichitaKSRealestate.com. And I noticed that you had recently registered on our website, and I wanted to call and personally say thank you for doing that. And I saw that you had looked at a handful of homes, and I didn't know if I could answer any of your questions, or really if I could just understand your situation.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you calling me. We're just kind of curious. I got a job transfer, and I was just checking prices in the area. Not really sure yet what we want to do, though.
Understood. You know, a lot of people, when they first come to our website, they're really in the initial stages of their home search. Oftentimes we find them at 3 months, 6 months, not a year out even sometimes. And they really, you know, however they found us, they really see us as a resource. I'm curious. You said you just got a promotion. What kind of business are you in, Dennis?
I'm in the restaurant industry.
Okay, in the restaurant industry. Are you able to say what restaurant you're going to be working for or in here in Wichita?
Yeah, it's TGI Fridays.
TGI Fridays, one of my favorite places, man. I love the endless apps that they have on Friday afternoon. So I'll probably see you over. Are you on the one on the west side of town?
Actually, I kind of run the whole region. So
Oh, I
I'm
see.
kinda,
Okay,
I spread
great.
my time around.
So my chances of running into you there are pretty slim then. Is that fair?
Maybe not. You know, I'm there. I don't know. I'm probably at that one about once or twice a week, so I might run into you.
Great. Well, I'm just curious. Do you happen to know a little bit about, or have you? And is this a family? Or are you a single man, Dennis, or do you have a family?
Oh, I have a family.
Okay. So have you and your family thought a little bit about what kind of price range perhaps that you might be looking in?
Well, you know, I'd kind of like to stay between 250 and 300,000 if I could.
250, 300. I'm just curious. I mean, you know, that's a pretty generous range. What kind of brought you to the place that you think that's the kind of the price point you'd be in?
Well, I've just been, you know, kind of searching the web a little bit and looking at the different styles of homes and the different demographics of where I'd like to be, and it's kind of in that range where we would be comfortable and yet find something that we'd really love to have.
Fair enough. Hey, this new promotion you got, is this something you've been working on for a while, or was it sudden, or?
Well, no, it's kind of an addition to what I've already been doing.
Okay.
They just gave me more responsibility, basically, more restaurants.
Is that something you were hoping for?
Yes and no. It's a lot more work, but at the same time, you know, the financial rewards will be really good. So I made the decision to go ahead and go for it.
So is your family excited about the prospect of moving down here to Wichita?
Yeah, kind of. I think that they're all ready for a change of venue.
I gotcha. So 250,000, 250, 300,000. Said you had a family. So children?
Yeah, but they're grown. I have three.
Okay. Okay.
Daughters are grown.
So you don't have that issue to deal with, the change in schools and stuff like that, et cetera.
No.
Hey, I'm just curious, of that $250,000, $300,000 price range you're looking in, have you guys started the initial part of the process to understand your buying power? Have you spoken with a mortgage professional?
Well, you know, I kind of inquired a little bit with my credit union, and I know I could get the funds if I need to, but I haven't really pushed very hard. I haven't really initiated anything else besides that.
Well, let me ask you this, Dennis. We have a fantastic in-house lender that works with a lot of our clients and has a lot of really good, programs I know that are out there, especially in those kind of price ranges that you're looking in. Before we're done here, and I have a few more questions to ask you, would it make sense for me to connect you with our in-house lender, maybe get that process started so you can be a little bit more secure in the knowledge of the area that you'd be looking in?
You know that? Yeah, sure, that'd be okay.
Well, in fact, I'll get a little bit of information from you about that here in just a moment. I'm just curious. Tell me a little bit about the home that you guys were looking for. I see some of the homes that you were looking here online. Yours a handful. It looks like you were looking at basically some 3 and 4 bedroom homes in the northeast part of town. Is there anything specific about the northeast that was drawing you to that?
You know, not really. I've heard from, a few other people. I've got some relatives that live in that general vicinity, and they thought that was, a good area that I would fit into, that I would like.
Okay. So you said so you know some people here.
Yeah.
Okay. Did I hear you just now say that they were friends or family?
It kind of extended family.
Okay, extended family. Okay, so it's not out there just on your own, getting here, not knowing anybody, so you know a little bit about the town. Hey, I'm just curious, Dennis. I work with a lot of people, and Salina is not really that far away from Wichita. And as a general manager or regional manager, I know you'd probably be traveling around the different locations. Is that fair?
It is.
Why Wichita? Why not just stay in Salina?
Well, I'm open to that as well. I mean, I don't know that area very well. I just, kind of one of those things when you start looking and you kind of migrate toward a certain area.
I got you. And,
so, yeah, I'm pretty open.
My guess is being around some of that extended family, some of those other friends, that's something that might be important to you. Is that a fair assumption?
Yeah, I mean, within driving distance, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, you don't
within
wanna-
a half hour to 45 minutes.
You don't want to be like Raymond having living across the street, but it'd be nice to see him once in a while. Is that fair?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
I gotcha. Hey, I'm just curious, if you could wave a magic wand and you say, on this date, my family and I, we'd like to be in this new home. What would that date look like?
Well, we're not in a huge hurry. We do have some time,
Okay.
but I'd like to be in there probably by mid to late spring.
Mid to late spring. Okay, well, I'm glad we're talking because honestly, I don't know if you noticed the calendar, it's December already. Even if you found a house January 1, it'd be mid-spring before you could be in it, 45-day closing, etc. So we're talking the right time right now. It certainly makes a lot of sense to get this going here. Let me just ask another question or two about the home. You mentioned you had a 3-bedroom, maybe 4-bed bath. Is there anything specific else I need to let our expert buying agent that I'm going to hook you up with know about that, what you're looking for?
Yeah, I'd like at least an acre.
Okay.
And I would like trees, not a ton, but some. I'm an outdoor type of guy,
Yeah.
so I'd like a nice patio or deck in the back of the home if I could.
So you're not really looking for new construction. You want a little bit more developed area, has some property with it, has some outdoors, deck, trees. I got you. Okay, I got you.
It could be new construction, or it could be, home that's a few years old. That's if I like it, I'll buy it. That's just kind of how I am.
Well, as an aside, I'm going to jump back in role play here in a moment. As an aside, one of the things I would probably do right now, but I'm not, is go ahead and start gathering some information on you to do a pre-approval attempt, because you said you'd be willing to talk to a lender. I said I'll gather some information about that. I would normally probably go ahead and try to get that information right now, but I'm gonna pass that up just by the time today. Okay, but I want to go back to the close piece of this. All right.
Okay.
So Dennis, let me make sure I understand what I'm hearing. You recently got a promotion, which it sounds like you're a little apprehensive about because it's got more responsibility, but also you're excited about the new opportunity. You're really looking at the northeast part of Wichita in the $250,000, $300,000 range. Something to outdoor, feeling, mature trees on a little bit of land is important. You got a date somewhere in late spring you'd like to be in that. Did I get all that right?
You did.
Did I miss anything?
No, you pretty much got all of that correct.
Well, Dennis, this is what I could do for you right now is I can schedule a meeting with you in a date of your convenience here in a moment with one of our expert buying agents who, quite frankly, really specialize in working with people that are kind of new to our community and really have a lot of knowledge and understanding of that northeast area of Wichita that you're most interested in. And I think you're very comfortable with the inventory that we currently have at that $250,000, $300,000 price point. I see here that Mary has some availability. On Wednesday or on Thursday of this week? I know we probably have to work with your schedule a little bit. Would Wednesday or Thursday in the afternoon or perhaps the evening work for you to get together with you and your spouse to sit down and see how we might be able to help you with this?
Maybe I'd have to talk to my wife and see what her thoughts are.
Okay. All right. Maybe see what her thoughts are. No problem with that. We certainly want her to be an integral part of this. Maybe we could do this. Is she generally available during the week at all?
Yeah,
Over the weekend,
yeah,
perhaps a
she's
bit better.
probably during the week sometime.
Okay, why don't we do this? I know you're going to be busy, she's going to be busy, so am I, so is Mary. Well, since I have her calendar open, why don't you and I go ahead and put a time on this schedule, okay, for Wednesday at, let's say, 6 p.m. And between now and Wednesday, you get together with your spouse, make sure that's fine, and then we'll make sure we confirm that with you, and we can all get together at that point. So can we go ahead and put down Wednesday at 6 p.m., pending, of course, you speaking with your spouse?
Sure. Yeah, that'd be
Okay.
fine.
Wednesday at 6 p.m. Okay, I'm going to stop right there. We didn't get a whole lot of emotional response out of Dennis. Let me ask you, Dennis, is there something that I missed that you wanted to tell me?
Yes.
What was
I
it?
wanted to tell you that I wanted a little shop,
Okay.
see, I like to brew my own beer, and I want to build a small little family brewery type of a thing.
Okay.
Doesn't have to be anything big and elaborate, but just big enough where it's heated, and I have, I can put my brewing equipment into it, and that's kind of, and then a place for me to park my RV. That's it.
Okay. So let me ask you about this brewing thing. Sounds to me like that's something you're really passionate about.
Yep.
So when we're looking for properties, that's going to be one on the top of your list. You have an area for that. You have an area for your RV as well. So I probably shouldn't show you any properties that don't have that. Is that fair?
That's fair. It doesn't necessarily mean, I mean, if it doesn't have that, it doesn't mean that I can't add that later. If it's a property you think that might fit in real well with me, but at the same time, that to me is a bonus.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, it's not a necessity. It's just something that's a bonus.
Mm-hmm. And that's why I ask if there's anything I missed, because all of us, whether it's myself, whether it's Adam, whether it's Barbara, it could be any one of us. Nobody's ever going to be perfect and get all the information that could possibly be out there. I didn't get that from Dennis. If I'd asked him another question, maybe I would have. I was a little concerned about the time that we had, so I didn't want to go too much further. What I wanted us to recognize is Adam writes he's perfect, but he misspells the word perfect. That's genius, buddy. What I wanted everybody to recognize was how we took the things that were important to you that I did get out and put that into what my closing is, right? If we could do this for you, if we could find you this, if I connect you with this person who was specialized in this area, in this part of town, with this price point, for these kind of reasons, and this kind of thing, would that make sense for you? Would that make sense for us? Okay, we are going to do another role play here in a moment with a different set of data, and we can get a little bit more intense on this one, because I think I set it up as a maybe a for sale by owner expired. I'm not sure. But when we were looking at that, I would like you guys to think about what were the pain indicators that you guys heard in that call. I made my own notes here, and I have 3 or 4 or 5 things. What were the pain indicators that Dennis gave us during that call? One of those pain indicators was that he had a new job, which he was apprehensive about. Right? What's another pain indicator? Anybody else throw out another one? Another pain indicator is he doesn't and it's spelled right, is not know a lot about the new area, right? He's got some friends, some family, some extended piece. He doesn't really know exactly where he'd like to go, but he has a little bit of idea, but he doesn't know a lot about the area, right? Third pain indicator, he is currently not pre-approved. Now that's a pain for two people. It's a pain for the agent, but it's also a pain for him because he doesn't know yet. That's something I can help him with. That's something I can help go away. That isn't something that I can do for him, right? And so as I start to stack up all these different pains, we start looking here that, he told me, which I didn't find, but he told us a second ago, was that he needed, had specific requirements, for his brewing of his beer. Right? I didn't find that out the first time, but now that I know about it, right? So that would have been another pain indicator. Those are all things that I'm going to roll up into a little ball and now use for my close. I don't just roll into a close. I don't just roll and say, hey, let's set an appointment. I utilize all the stuff to my advantage. Go ahead. Okay. So let's look at another one here. Let's get that. We'll go to the next one. You can't close until you know the motivation. We already talked about that. We had a sample of that same closing technique that we just talked about, which was wrapping all that information up. Here are just, a couple of examples of maybe another conversation. Something I may use if I was closing. It's a completely different conversation, but I may something like, well, Betty, thank you for sharing that information with me. What I heard you say was that, being in a safe, secure neighborhood with a short commute, but also near shopping and entertainment was very important to you. And because you shared with me that you're single, that maybe safety is the top thing on the list. Did I get that right? And she says, well, yeah, absolutely. I got that right. And then I would take that and take it to the next step, which would be, well, what I can do for you today is schedule an appointment with you to sit down with one of our expert listing agents that specializes in working with first-time home buyers looking for condominiums that fit the type of criteria that you're looking for. I have made some special notes here about your concerns about safety and proximity to shopping and entertainment. I see Marcia's available. It's all about taking what they tell you, and the term Adam uses all the time is optimizing. You're optimizing the close to deal with the issues that was important to the prospect. The only way that you find out what the issues are important to the prospect is to listen and to ask those questions. You can't just go, what location do you want to be in? What price point do you want to be in? Are you pre-approved? Do you have a mortgage lender? Are you working with an agent? I should ask Dennis that question, but I didn't. You can't just go to just those questions and then use it to close. You have to be able to optimize the conversation to where you specifically need to be. Is that fair? I have a listing role play for an expired, and I'm okay if somebody wants to step up on this one and maybe be a little bit harder, because quite frankly, the expired ones often, not always, but often are a little bit harder. Who would like to role play this one with me? I sure hope we can get this recording. I had to be late and got into it. We can work on that one, Larry. That shouldn't be a problem. I am recording it. Who else would like to role play with me? Somebody wants to maybe be tough this time, tougher. Just unmute yourself, start talking. I don't know who wants to do it. Larry, you said you do it, I think, if you want to. Bailey's eating.
Yeah, hey, Mark.
Yeah, you do, Larry?
Yeah, I'm on an iPhone with GoToWebinar, so I'm not sure if you can hear me well.
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right, good.
Okay. I tell you what, you can't see what I'm looking at here, but I'm going to tell you a little bit about your scenario, okay?
I've got your screen. It's just on my phone.
Okay, well, I'll tell you anyway. I'll help you out, okay? You live in El Paso, Texas, and you need to sell a house. You have a house for sale, okay? It's located on the west side of El Paso. It's near Thunderbird High School, all right? And you think it's worth around $225,000, and that's because you recently got a tax appraisal that's what it was worth, all right? You had it listed before for 6 months. and it expired. And one of the main problems that you had was the agent wasn't very communicative with you, and you only had 2 showings in a few months, and you haven't had any in the last couple of months. All right.
What was
The only feedback that they gave you was, hey, you need to lower your price. This stuff sounds typical, right?
Yeah, what was the list price?
What's that?
What was the list price?
$225,000. All right. That's what you had it listed for.
All right.
All right. So let me do here. Like I said, once again, there's no cheating in sales. So I'm going to pull up my expired outline. Right. If I get to it. So I'm just going to call you Larry, and then, you know, you don't have to, if you stray from that information I gave you a little bit, that's fine, but that just gives us something to help out with, okay? And don't be a total ass, because we won't learn anything from it, right? Because here's the reality. If somebody's a total ass, I got a full dialer full of people to call. Why would I waste any time with you?
Right.
All right? So I just say thank you pretty much. I'd move on, because that's what I would do.
I'm still a motivated seller. I just don't like real estate.
Yeah, you're annoyed because a bunch of people called you. I got you. I just want to make sure we get it. You know, some people want you just to really dig in, but the reality is if somebody's like that, I probably would move on. So here we go. So ring, ring, ring.
Hello.
Hello, Larry.
Yeah.
This is Mark Benefiel with Select Homes here in Wichita, and I'm inquiring if you are still accepting offers on your home. I noticed that it had expired.
You know, I don't know. I'm not sure what I'm going to do now, really.
I understand, you know, I talked to a lot of people just like you. They've had it on for a while. I noticed here on the MLS it had been on for about 6 months previous to it expired. I'm just curious, why were you trying to sell your home to begin with, Larry?
Just looking to relocate, find something a little more suitable for us.
Okay, relocate to...
Just the other side of El Paso.
Oh, I got you. Something a little bit more suitable. So what is it about your house that you don't like right now that you were trying to find something more suitable? Help me understand that.
I'm just kind of tired of it. You know, we've been there a good while. Want something with a little better layout, a little more modern features.
Better layout, more modern features. I got you. How long have you been in that property?
12 years.
12 years. I gotcha. I gotcha. I heard you say we a couple of times. So I assume that you have a partner, spouse, somebody else there with you, family?
Right, yeah, wife and a 14-year-old daughter.
14-year-old daughter. I gotcha. She probably doesn't want to move anyway, does she?
Well, she's kind of likes the idea of getting her own, you know, bedroom and bath, a little more space.
I got you. So she's looking for a little upgrade herself then. I hear you. What 14-year-old doesn't want more, right? I got you. Well, let me ask you a question, Larry, and I'll be brief. You know, I talk to a lot of people. You know, one of the things we do at Select Homes is we really help people, you know, and expand and explode, you know, the market and the exposure of their homes. But it only makes a difference if you still want to sell it. When I first called you, you said you weren't sure what you're going to do. I mean, at the end of the day, do you still want, you know, a little bit larger, you know, better layout home with a little bit more room for your daughter, kind of make her a little bit happier, easier to deal with? Do you still want that, or have you guys just given up on that?
Yeah, I know what I want. You know, I'm just tired of all the mixed messages and all the runaround from all the real estate agents, and I assume you're like the others that have been calling me wanting to have another shot at it. Well, I gave, you know, one that I thought was a good one a shot at it, and they just only showed it twice, you know, didn't give me any feedback. I never heard anything. And then I've had other agents calling me, and they're, you know, blowing smoke, telling me what they can do, and it all sounds good. But, you know, bottom line is I need to sell the home.
Well, you know, I think that's fair. And, you know, there are a lot of agents out there. And, you know, one of the things, you know, that you just expressed to me, you know, we hear a lot. You know, one of the biggest complaints about the real estate industry is that people just don't communicate well. And, you know, I'd like to just, you know, first I'll just, you know, apologize on the behalf of the industry that you got caught up in that. You know, unfortunately, there's a lot of realtors out there who, they basically have a 3-point marketing plan. They get the listing, put the sign in the yard, and then they put their feet up and wait for people to show up. And unfortunately, good people like you get caught up in that. And there's definitely a better way to do business. And I will tell you this, Larry, I haven't personally seen your home. I'm not going to tell you right now, off the top of my head, that I could absolutely sell it. It's in a very desirable area. It's at a price point that I think probably it could sell. But honestly, we turn down more homes than we actually take on because we need to be realistic with people. I don't know what the condition of your home is. You said you've been there for 12 years. I don't know if you've done any upgrades to it. I know what people are looking for, but I don't necessarily know if yours meets that criteria. The only way to really tell that, Larry, is just to be really honest with you. We need to set a time where I can come out, take a look at the property, and just tell you straight up, hey, here's one I think I can sell at this price point, or I can't. And I'll be 100% real with you. And if I don't think I can, I'll tell you. If I think I can, I'll share that with you, and I'll share with you all the ways that I plan on doing it if that's what we would decide together. But it all starts with being honest with each other. So let me ask you this. Do you still want to sell your house, Larry?
Yeah, we're just tired, and actually my wife has already scheduled an appointment with another agent that told her she could get more than we were asking. I think she met her at a party, and we got in a little argument about that. So she's got her coming out. So, we're just kind of tired of the process and getting the house cleaned up and having to keep the grass mowed and all that, and then not get any results. So,
well, let me ask you this. You had it listed at $225,000 before. Where did you get that price point? Was that one the realtor came up with? Is that one that you came up with? Help me understand that.
Well, that's what it's worth.
Okay, I'm sorry. Say that again.
That's what it's worth. That's what we pay taxes on.
Okay, that's fair. Well, it may be worth more than that. Sometimes there's not always a connection between the taxes that you pay or assessed on and what you're actually selling on. But my guess is it's probably not worth more than that, because if it was, somebody probably would have already bought it, Larry. The market determines what the price is going to be. And I don't know the other agent or exactly what they're telling you or what she's going to tell you, but my guess is if you significantly more than where you were before, that's certainly not going to attract buyers. It's going to turn buyers off. So I could ask you this. This person that your wife met at the party, she related to you guys?
No, they were old acquaintances and just kind of reconnected.
So you're not going to, so like if you don't hire her, you're not going to have to look at her at like Thanksgiving dinner or anything like that, right?
No.
No. Well, that's perplexing because I don't want to get between you and your wife, but at the same time, I want to make sure you don't get in the same situation you were before, where you get yourself together with an agent who, is going to just put their feet up, put the sign in the yard, and wait for people to show up. You already been through that. And I certainly don't want that to happen again. I can tell you this, that here at Select Homes, we have a tremendous track record of selling properties in a lot less time than a lot of other people. In fact, the last statistics I saw is that we're selling them about 37% faster than everybody else in the metro area. And what that really speaks to is how long you have to deal with people coming to your house, not coming to your house, getting the thing ready, getting that ready, having to go out and get dinner while people are in looking. You want it on and you want it out and you want it. I can't guarantee you. All I can do is come over and be honest with you. If I can get you more money, I'll tell you I can get you more money. But I can't tell you this. We sell more homes faster than anybody else does. And I'll put that statistic up against this woman anytime. So I'm sure she's a fine agent. But I can tell you this, our track record speaks for itself. What would be a good day for me to come over, sit down with you and your wife, and give me an opportunity to take a look and be honest with you and tell you what you want to do? If you want to talk to the other agent, fine. But what would be a good day for you and I and your wife to sit down together, go over and realistically decide whether or not it makes sense for you to go any further? If it doesn't, I'll tell you and I'll get out.
Well, I don't know. I need to talk to my wife. And I'll share with her. I like what you said about you. Everybody else that's called me, and annoying me. All they say is they can sell it and guarantee they can, and they haven't seen the house. So I think that's good that you. And I'll talk to my wife tonight, and I can give you a call back tomorrow. And I think other agents coming Saturday, and we're going to be pretty busy this weekend.
Okay.
Kind of work that in. So.
Well, I tell you this, can we do this? Part of the problem is everybody, especially this time of year, getting pretty busy. Lots of holiday parties, things like that. And there's an open time on the calendar that we can set aside for you. And what I can do is, we can have, we can get together with you specifically on Friday at 4 p.m. if that works for you, or even Saturday around noon. But let's get a date and time on the calendar. That way, when you talk to your wife and she says, yes, let's do it, not already booked up with somebody else. So at least let's block that time, get it down on the calendar. You go talk to your wife and give her your rationale on why, we ought to get together. Is that fair?
Yeah, I can do that. I just don't tell her, because
right.
If she knows I booked an appointment, we'll have another argument tonight. So I'll check with her, though, and if she's agreeable to that, I can give you a call back and confirm it.
Okay.
So you said next, what'd you say, next Wednesday?
We could do Friday at 4. I could do Saturday at about 10 a.m.
Yeah, well, this Saturday's not going to work because we got this other one coming, and we're kind of booked up. And Friday early, got something a little bit late, first of the week, right after the week. Get a little more time to get her in line with it.
Well, I tell you what, we can do a couple of things. How long is your meeting scheduled with the one on Saturday?
Yeah, I don't know if she really said. She just said she wanted to come out and look at the house and give us her opinion. She didn't really say. Well,
we could do this. I can come out on Saturday, same time, and give you the same opinion. I can just wait. I'd be happy to wait as long as possible. But here's the difference, Larry, is that you're going to know within 5 minutes whether or not you'd like to do business with me. After we meet, we shake hands, look each other in the eye, man to man. You're gonna get a feeling whether I'm the kind of person you think you can work with or not, whether I'm a man of my word. So it's only going to take us 10 minutes. If after that, if you decide you like and you want to spend some more time together, we can. But that's all we're going to need at this point is look each other eye to eye, shake hands, and whether or not you and your wife can see yourself working with someone like myself.
But you're the one out?
What's that?
So you will be the one coming out?
In this particular case, yes.
Okay.
Normally I schedule it for somebody else, but because I didn't do that earlier, I'm actually going to come out for myself. Hey, Larry, just because of time, we're going to let it stop there, okay? All
That's
right.
fine. Sure.
I recognized about 5 minutes ago that I became an agent and not an ISA, and I wasn't going to be able to back myself out of it and schedule for somebody else. So I went with it because I do know we also have agents on the line right now that also make these phone calls. So I just went ahead and went with it.
I thought you wanted to come. Do you not want to come after the other agent? Or are you trying to get ahead of?
We're done with the role play, Larry. We're done with the role play.
No, I was just asking for my own information. I thought, do you?
Well, typically, our ISAs, and the way we do business here, ISAs don't go out into the field, okay? Some agencies, they do. We don't. So typically, I wouldn't be scheduling a point for myself. I would be scheduling it for one of our listing specialists. But I realized I slipped into the first person earlier when we were going through some objections. And since we have agents that are on the line and they do this, I just went ahead and went with that example instead of trying to back out of it.
Okay. Let me chime in here real quick.
Please do.
Part two to your question, Larry, is do you try to get in the door before or after the appointment? Is that correct?
Yeah, that's what I was asking.
Okay, so we position it to come in after they interview the other agent because we want to sit down with them and show them what we do differently. Okay, but you will lose some business because there's some really good salespeople out there that's going to get them to sign on the dot before you can come in and show them what you do differently. Now, if you set expectations, and what I mean by that, ask them, say, hey, a couple of things real quick. First one is I want to thank you for your time and committing to the appointment. The second one is can you give me your word and promise that you're not going to sign with any of these other agents before you hear at least what we have to say and how we can show you how we can be differently, so you can make an educated decision with all the choices on the table. Can you promise me that? And if you get them to physically say, yes, I can promise you that, you know, they'll hold their word. Some will still sign, but it's just a good conditioning. Will you lose some business like that? Without a doubt. But if you can be the last one in there and really have everybody pull their marketing stuff out and differentiate and close, you'll get the business.
Yeah. I appreciate you adding that in, Adam. And I did break that off basically because of time, where we are with time. What I want to go back, though, is I want to go back as a group and let's look at the pain points that we were finding there, the pain indicators. And there were multiple pain indicators. You know, the one that he gave us at first was he was just looking for a better layout, wanted, you know, move to the other side of town. His real pain seemed to be the process, where he was at. So his real problem was we're tired of the process. We had poor communication. You know, we're just tired of having to deal with it. That pain right now is overriding the original pain of why he wanted to move to begin with. He didn't have a huge motivating factor of why he wanted to move to the other side of town. Could have picked around that a little bit more. I could have probably picked at that scab some more and asked, well, you know, that's a big move to go from the east side or west side of the mountain to the east side of the mountain. You know, it's expensive to do that. You know, typically I don't find people do it just because they feel like it. There's usually other reasons. I'm just curious, what are your other reasons? I didn't think I could get into that line of questioning yet. I was probably going to have to go with some more analytical stuff. That's why I chose to get into talking about he offered up, you know, we're tired of the process, etc. For you to be able to get to personal stuff, sometimes you have to deal with the analytical, the facts first. The facts were he already had it out there. He had it for 6 months, and he wasn't happy, and here was why. I could have circled around back to that when I went to close this thing up for good, and talked about why specifically he was moving from one side of town to the other. There has to be a reason, right? But I didn't think I was probably going to be able to get that yet because he was offering up this other stuff first. That's why I say, you know, when you're trying to find motivation with somebody, you don't always find it right away. They don't always just puke it out in front of you. Sometimes you got to dig. Sometimes you got to go in one line of questioning and go back to another line of questioning. And in the first role play, I actually did that quite a bit. I went from one thing, and I went to another, and I went back to the job, and I went back to something else, and I went back to his wife, and I came back to something else. I was moving around on purpose to keep him a little bit off guard so he'd keep giving me information. You might not be able to get right into somebody's you know, breadbasket, right into how they feel about something. It's a lot easier once he's expressed to me how he feels about the agent and the process. Now he's already on an emotional plane. I can continue to keep him in emotional questions, right? So once I get somebody emotionally involved, they don't see, you know, the other stuff. So I'm not scared to talk about what the other people did right or did wrong, or, you know, if you want to give it to me, because that's where I want to take you anyway. Right? So in this case, you know, those are all pain indicators. You want to continue to look for and put all those pain indicators and use those as you are you know, closing that up. We had to continue to go back to the mixed messages, the poor communication, the fact that he was tired. I had to keep going back to that stuff over and over again because that's what the motivating stuff was. If I went to other stuff, we would have never gotten to the place that he was in, because we've got to use what's important to him. Is that fair? You know, the close that we use, you know, the closing paragraph that, you know, Adam uses a lot and we use and we teach here is, you know, let me ask you a question. If I can honestly show you how to sell your home faster and for top dollar with our worry-free, no obligation, aggressive marketing plan that works without fail, would that be worth a few minutes of your time to discover how that would work for you? That only works if you've optimized and you've gotten the emotional connection to the other stuff first, right? I would have at the very last, where I was going here, I would have went right into, well, Larry, let me ask you this question. You told me A, B, C, and D. I understand you're still a little reluctant, but let me ask you this. If I could honestly show you how we were going to do this, boom, 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 would that be worth just a few minutes of your time? Right? But it only works if you get all the information before that. It's a great close. Made Adam a lot of money, helped make Select Homes sell a lot of houses. Barbara uses it. Shelly uses it. Deborah uses it. I know some of you use it. Find the opportunities to use that, but wrap it around the optimized conversation that you already had with the other pain points and the pain indicators that you got before that. You put those two things together, and you have a very, 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 very powerful tool that you can utilize. And it works in other industries too, not just here in real estate, but this is where we live. Fair? Closing is always based on true motivation. Scientists tell us there's two kinds of people in the world: pain people and pleasure people. People that move away from pain or people that move towards pleasure. Scientists also tell us that pain is a higher motivating factor. Up to 80% of people are more motivated by pain about having to do something, because as a human race, our brain will not allow us to be in psychological pain. It will force you to get out of psychological pain, sometimes in ways that you don't want it to. Sometimes people get out of psychological pain by drinking. Sometimes it's by smoking. Sometimes it's by eating. Sometimes it's even more heinous things than that. Your brain will not allow you to be in a psychological state of pain for too long. If we can show them how to make that go away, that is what people are looking for. You have pain. I can make your pain go away. Should we get together? Closing is based on finding out what their intellectual connection, their emotional connection to the problems are at hand. And if you can find that, the closing comes easy. There's, for every Larry that's out there who's making it a little bit more difficult, and that was real world stuff he was giving us, right? There's also people that are like, you know what, you're right. I need to do something about this, and you sound like you're the guy who could help me. At least I can give you a few minutes of time to figure that out. Fair? So utilize the techniques you have. Utilize your iceberg technique to find out what the problem is, why it's a problem, and what they're connected to. Right? Utilize the opening lines that bond with us. Utilize the closing lines that we have that wraps it all together, and it shows them how we can take this problem away for them. Those three things together are going to put you in a closing perspective unlike anyone you have. So practice those closing lines. Practice that the beginning of that opening, which is so crucial of building the bonding rapport, and really work on the listening skills that it takes to have a conversation and find information out beyond just location, motivation. Those are all important aspects. But all this other stuff we're talking about are equally, if not more important than some of that information as well. So I'm going to leave you guys with that. Any questions or observations anybody like to offer the group before we go? Hearing none, let's remind you of call night tonight. We have call night starting at 5 p.m. Central. We certainly would love to have some people come in and make some phone calls. I think Adam was recruiting some folks during the session today. This is the time of year right now. The stuff that you do right now is going to put money in your pocket in January. The way you start off 2016 has everything to do with what you're doing right now. You can't wait to 2016 to start working on 2016. You got to be working on it now. You got to increase them. There's 25% less selling days in December than there are in other months. That means you need at a minimum to be making 25% more calls than what you were before, just to get the status quo. And I would say you probably need to increase that to 40% because it's harder to get a hold of people. It's tough right now. It's tough. The people that are going to rise to the top are the ones that are going to say, you know what? I'm going to just do it. I'm going to make the phone calls. I'm going to call more expireds. I'm going to call more FSBOs. I'm going to call more internet leads. I'm going to call them back within 5 minutes. I'm going to use the opening lines. I'm going to be patient. I'm going to use my iceberg technique. I'm going to get more information from people. I'm going to optimize that conversation, use these great closing lines, and I'm going to make more money. But only if you decide that you're going to do it. You can change your behavior starting right now. I can have a fantastic December or I can have a shitty December. It's up to you. I'm choosing fantastic. You guys have a great day.